I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. You know, I'm a 960 SAT guy. And, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all
Look at that dude's face after he talks down to him.
there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech. Maybe the wrong business to be in.
So he's trying to let black people know that he has problems too. And then we have Trump. Let's listen to Trump.
Politically correct and be nice and say, oh, yes, she is. No, she's very, she's very frightened of the cartels. They're running Mexico. And I've asked her numerous times, would you like us to take out the cartels? No, Mr. President. No, please. So we have to do something because we lost. The real number is 300,000 people, in my opinion. They like to say 100,000. 100,000 is a lot of people, but the real number is 300,000 people. And we lost it to drugs, and they come in through the southern border, mostly the southern border. Plenty come in through Canada, too, by the way, in case you don't.
And to be clear, these guys have a paramilitary force that's pretty powerful. All right, I'm going to start off with land right acknowledgments today. The land I am sitting on is land I fucking bought, and I own it. I hope you guys are all having a great day. We're going to start off with the U.S. economy. We have lots to talk about today. We've got Mexico going to war with itself. We've got Iran and a war potentially kicking off this week. We've got the State of the Union address tomorrow at 9 p.m. Tomorrow morning, we have Cypher's earnings. I'm going to be doing a stream for that because I told you guys I would. Tomorrow night, we're going to have Zeta earnings. This is my first time really focusing on covering either one of these, so I can't promise perfection. If there's a better YouTuber, let me know. We can skip me doing the stream and we can just watch that person. But if you're interested in either one of those, I'll be doing streams, like I've said I was going to. I do have to update the portfolio. I'm going to be doing a bunch of things differently on that, and I'm going to make it subs only. I'll probably work on that this week. But with as many earnings that are happening, I don't know how quickly I'll get to it because we have Nvidia after the close on Wednesday too, which is going to be huge. I think that's going to kick off the market. We'll listen to some Tom Lee talking about that. We've got EOC on Thursday morning, and then tomorrow, which I don't really care about. I probably won't do this one unless there's some kind of request from you guys. I'm probably just going to take this off my list. Anyway, I can do that later. Lots to talk about today. And good morning, Chad. Good morning, Victor. Good morning, Top Dasher, Kenny, Dario, Kirby, as always, right at the front. I hope you guys are all having a great day. If you have any questions, please let me know. Without further ado, crypto fear and greed. This is the alternative one, kind of the classic, not the CoinMarketCap one. That one's a little bit higher. It has the lowest levels we have ever seen in the history of this index going back to 2018. We are at them. I would say that is reason to be bullish, but it doesn't appear like anybody's that way today because we have AI hyperscaler miners down about 2.5%. We got MSTR down about 2.5%. We got Tesla down 1%. We got Zeta down 2%. We've got, at least in Japanese markets, Metaplanet up 3%. TLT's up a hair, but most things are down today. So I think that's going to turn around. I said this last week, and I'm going to say it again this week. I like the fact that we're seeing Monday start off rough, where there's a gap above us, and then seeing them climb higher. We didn't get a lot of that last week, at least with the AI plays like Iron Cipher and those guys, because evidently CoreWeave had some kind of connection with Blue Owl, the private equity fund. And so because CoreWeave's having problems, a company that's already been bankrupt one fucking time, evidently, that means that the entire sector is bad and fraught and not going to work out. I don't think that's true. CoinMarketCap has us in extreme fear, but a little bit better than the alternative one. We've got the CNN Fear and Greed Index in fear, but slowly getting better with the broader market. And we saw a lot of that last week, again, outside of the AI plays, which got dumped on a little bit later. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a very interesting week. I'm excited about it. I think I said this in, I think last week, actually, last Monday. I think we've got a week or two of some pain, and I think that it's over after that. I like Cypher too. I think it's a great play, Alex. We'll see how it goes. hang out with me tomorrow morning and we'll check out earnings and see what happens. But if you look over in the bottom right corner, you'll see Bitcoin. It's still doing what it's been doing, guys. I posted something like a week ago talking about Bitcoin's price action, and it is higher than it was then. I think it was at 65.5 or something like that. So, and it's been in this level for 3 weeks, the entirety of February, which is pretty good considering how much we've seen the software sector get absolutely destroyed. We'll be talking about a little bit of that too, a lot of that actually. Again, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I did want to talk about gold. I know everybody got excited about gold. We're up 1% on the day right now. We're sitting a little bit higher than this at 51.62. The thing I wanted to point out, though, is at least on the daily time frame, and that could change today. Maybe we get higher. I'll talk about why I really don't care, and I think it's a good sign for Bitcoin either way. But so far we haven't broken above that range if you're looking at the daily time frame, and so this is still a rising wedge, and until it gets above here and closes this daily above it, once it starts going up like in the 52, 5300s, then it looks good. Then it looks optimistic. And if you've got a gold metals position, you're probably at least going to test the highs, if not go higher. And that could happen, in my opinion. I do think that China's demise is pumping gold and silver and precious metals. And I think that actually is an optimistic thing for Bitcoin. We even saw last week, guys, I think I've got a post about this we could pull up, where one of the largest ETF inflows into Bitcoin, the largest actually, was actually a bunch of shell companies that eventually tied back to Hong Kong, which were people probably on Chinese mainland trying to buy Bitcoin, but using the most abstract possible way that they could do it in order to be able to get it purchased. Because again, you're not supposed to be doing that in China. But I think we're seeing capital outflows and just people trying to save their wealth from China. And I think that's good. I think that's a net positive for Bitcoin, because a $35 trillion, $36 trillion market cap, depending on how you're weighing it for gold, is so fucking heavy already that it's going to be really hard to pump that higher. And once momentum stalls, and I argue that that's happening right now, we'll see if we close below this 5150 and we can't get above that wedge. I think that's going to be very interesting. But eventually you're going to reach a point where people are going to be like, fuck, gold isn't doing anything. Bitcoin's so low. People were saying it forever, but I actually start to think that Bitcoin is having its bottom. And I think that is what you have to think about. When you have historic levels of the gold ratio's outperformance to Bitcoin, you need to be paying attention to that. Bitcoin will humble bears too. It always does, man. It's always, the narrative is always the exact opposite of the reality. And I guess I should have realized at 125-ish that Bitcoin, everybody was way too positive. But that's how it works. That's why timing is the shittiest fucking thing in investing. Fundamentals, macro, they beat all. And if you have strong fundamentals in the company or the thing you're investing and the macro is starting to line up, and I would argue that it is, and we'll talk about why that is, then again, you have tailwinds forming behind you. Okay, so I said I think everyone needs to be reminded of the most likely future that will be created by Grok AI. And it has Elon Musk here from not too long ago saying the most likely outcome is that AI and robots make everyone wealthy. In fact, far wealthier than the richest person on earth. If you think about technology, I'd much rather be one of the poorest people in the United States today and still probably have a cell phone. You could be homeless and have a fucking cell phone in the United States of America and still get medical treatment for health issues, than being a king in like the 1800s, even early 1900s. You know, you could be a pretty powerful person and not have basic amenities or the vast wealth of human knowledge that we have today. So I would argue that he's right, that we will see this again in the future. We do need to make sure that the AI cares about finding the truth, though. If we don't, we're doomed. And we're going to be talking about more of that in the AI segment. Let me see here. Kirby Text says, I was able to sell some mutual funds in my retirement account and now hold 20% cash. I'm like a kid in a candy store. Where to start? I don't know. There's so many good things to buy right now. It's really a tough decision. I like SoFi. I like Hood. I like, again, Cypher, Iron, maybe CleanSpark. They need to get a deal. I like MetaPlanet. I mean, I like so many things right now. Enphase looks great. Enphase, again, guys, this is one of my favorites right here. I've got, I think, 140K in it. But we had this initial breakout, and boy was it glorious. But look at this next one, guys. If you just it's not perfectly lined up because I did this in another thing. But if you look over here, just to the wick ends, look at this. We're getting ready to break out. I mean, it could be months before this happens again. But we're getting ready to break out, and things are looking good. If the real estate market continues to pick up like it is, people don't realize this, but median home prices are dropping and home sales are increasing. We'll look at data for that. And again, this is the energy sector. There is a little bit of relief from some of the tariffs that were neutered. So we're seeing a little bit of that help this sector. I like this too. I like so many things right now, dude. I think this is like the perfect fucking time to be interested in buying stuff and have 20% cash, Kirby. So good luck to you, sir. I hope you buy all the right stuff. Tom Lee, agree with this take. Underlying inflation trends are far softer than many realize. Again, this is the BLS CPI year over year. I like to call the BLS the bullshit, but I do agree. I think that reality will show, trueflation will show the reality of what BLS and what's really happening. CPI is all that matters. Don't worry about all the other noise. I'm going the wrong way. I need to scroll down. All right, let's look at other charts. So hardware stocks versus software stocks. So don't get me wrong. I actually agree with Jordy Visser. I do believe that a lot of software companies, probably most at the very least, maybe even 80, 90% of them will get just destroyed by AI in the next probably 3 to 5 years. I totally agree with that. And they could start feeling, and they're getting, I think, repriced for that right now. But I would also make the argument that some companies are going to fare much better, like Palantir and others are going to do much better in that environment. I think Zeta is another one of those. Again, an advertising company. It has tons of data, and the data is what's important, and it's proprietary, and they're embracing AI, even though I wish it wasn't open AI. But I think the companies that embrace AI, the companies that are AI first, just like individuals, are going to be the ones to benefit. So I do think the software sector can come back. I disagree with Jordy a little bit on that. And with his nuance, we probably are pretty much aligned. But I do think that entire sector is going to have a tougher time. Hardware is going to do great. It's going to do great for years. We'll talk about why in a little bit here. Again, if you guys have any questions, throw them out. Thank you to the 235 people that are here. I know the market sucks right now if you've been heavy into Bitcoin. I know the market has sucked right now if you've just been heavy into software. I mean, Robinhood was down over 50%, right? SoFi, I think, was down a third of its price. A lot of people that were very excited and that have just been crushing it in life. Palantir, I think, is down a third, that have been doing so well, like Amit, my buddy Tanner, all these guys, they've made a bunch of money. They're probably down a third, which makes me feel a little bit better because I'm down like 55%. So seeing these guys down a third, I don't want to relish in your pain, guys, but it does make me just feel a little bit better about some of my decisions. It feels like a lot of people are getting caught up with the pain and suffering. For a few people on the stream, sentiment is low. Yeah, there is. Yeah, sentiment is super low. And this is kind of what happens. I've never been a YouTuber or a social media person on X when sentiment was really low. I got on X and I had beautiful timing. I was buying into options for Meta and like $75, something like that. Tesla at like $100. I was buying. I had MicroStrategy options at the right time. I was buying into all these things. I was telling people about SoFi. I was telling people about Hood. I made 1,600% off of Hood. I was excited about so many things. The vast majority of them did well, and I made shit tons of money. Made 600% that year. But if there's anything I've learned over time, there is a time and a place for all tools, and a time where you go really crazy on options, and a time where you don't, and maybe you act a little more conservative. And I think right now, just the insane chop and the rotations we're seeing are a good example of why leverage is probably not a really great idea. If you were going to apply it, this is probably the better zone. I hope you didn't have it at the top. But people need to realize the right time to use different tools. I'm really going to try and focus on that. That is me going forward. I think you get events every once in a while, maybe every 3, 5, 10 years. In some cases, that's what 2022 was. The end of 2022 was a beautiful time to be in markets and get excited about life. We got. I want to see this real quick, and then we'll jump back over. I am seeing
ultimately do
Jamie Dimon
is all of these unfulfilled commitments that countries
is talking right now.
People who are Republicans, we've debanked different religions.
I want to see this.
Bank records of
All right,
Devin
we gotta
Nunes
see
or
this. I wanna
Trump
hear his response
supporters
about
to
Trump,
the
yeah.
special counsel when he wanted that information?
People have to grow up here, okay?
Nice,
and stop
Central. Yeah,
making
buy
up
yourself
things
time,
and stuff
dude.
like that.
Yeah,
So,
smart.
and I can't talk about an individual account. We do not bank people, debank people's religious or political affiliations. We do debank them. They have religious and political affiliation. We debank people who are Democrats. We debank people who are Republicans.
What about the article that says right after the January 6th, you debanked Trump because of what happened on social media? What about that one?
Debank different
I don't care
religious
about those
folks.
other people.
Never was that for that reason. And that's number one. Number two is I don't like debanking
I think Jamie Dimon looks fucking scared, dude. And I think his bank's going to lose $5 billion in a lawsuit to Trump.
people. We live under very strict rules and regulations and requirements. And to protect the country, and we have to report things to the government, we're required to
Yeah,
report
February is actually a shitty month. Alex Garcia, February is a shitty month. March is historically a lot better. I think there's a ton of stuff aligning for that. We got to look too. I haven't actually pulled up Bunstrat. I'm going to kind of move him over here. I want to look at what he's talking about too and see if there's anything good that we should be listening to. We haven't done too much of that. He hasn't been talking much, honestly. It's Mark Newton, it's Sean Farrell, it's a few others, but it really hasn't been a lot of Tom Lee. I think he's being smart, keeping his head low.
the government. I can't even tell you when we do it because I'm not going to tell you that either. And so I want to change these rules. I actually applaud the Trump administration who's trying to say,
He applauds the Trump administration for suing him for $5 billion for debanking him because Jamie Dimon wants to see the rules changed too, guys. Just like how he loves Bitcoin and thinks it's great. Wonderful.
the debanking's bad. I've been following subpoenas with this administration, the last administration, the administration before that, and the one before that.
So, Maria, these court documents, just to be clear.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to see that for a second. I will move on here. Let me do this, though. I want to turn the mute on. And then I wish I didn't have to like flip through this, but whatever. I'll just leave it that way. All right, back over here. If you guys have any questions, throw them out. I just got a Robinhood bank account. Screw JP Morgan. Yes, sir, Kenny. Kenny's got the right idea, guys. Listen to Kenny. Don't kill him. Alex Garcia, we're starting to go up. Oh, that was you. Okay. All right, we're good. Over here, Zero Hedge. Took 2.5 years, but the level of short covering and energy is almost off the chart. This is fascinating because I got another energy chart I'm going to remind you guys of later. Again, to the 300 plus people that are here, if you could hit the like, really helps the channel. It's hard to do the channel when people are super bearish at all-time highs. But I appreciate whatever you can do. All right, this guy, Micro to Macro, said a 1% additional tariff rate won't crush Europe. Also, countries like China should push their massive amounts of inventory over the short term before rates go higher again in the next few months. Because again, there's other acts or sections that we're going to be using to get tariff rates, Scott Bessent, roughly where they were beforehand. So we're going to try and keep everything pretty much the way it was. This right here from the Financial Times is reporting on the UK getting hit with 2% more taxes or tariffs now. Italy getting about 1.8. And then again, the rest here, like the EU, is less than 1%. But there's countries that are benefiting: Brazil, China, India, Canada, Mexico, Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia. We are doing investigations into unfair trade practices. Once those resolve, then we'll see these probably go back down and start to flatline more and even out to where we're getting roughly the same tariff revenue. Trump does not want to stop doing that. I told you guys that I was wrong. I thought the Supreme Court would go ahead and say, hey, the tariffs are good, we'll let it happen, because so much time was going by. I was actually appalled by the fact that it was such a large number that went against it, and then them not even mentioning what needed to happen with refunds and just letting that go to a lower court. That was insane to me. I thought the Supreme Court failed miserably, but I've told you guys, same day we'll have the tariffs applied again. That's what fucking happened. So I got that part right. I don't know how many people are following this. The Kospi is the South Korean stock exchange. Since they removed naked short selling, well, and you can't just say that. And their DRAM companies are amazing. Again, some of the biggest DRAM companies on earth are within this location. But I think maybe the United States does something where, as we're looking to pump the markets heading into the midterms, I could see us doing something like this too. There's so many people that want to ban naked short selling. I'm not saying it's going to happen. What I want you to think about is, what if we do everything in our power to pump Bitcoin because we can, and gold is topped out? Let's say gold is at 6,000, 7,000. Let's say that the gold bugs have all been right, and that gold is like at a market cap of 50, 60 trillion dollars. And Bitcoin's sitting at 1.4 or 1.3 or maybe even lower. I'm going to make an argument that if Bitcoin is 1/30th to 1/50th the size of gold, that you're going to see a lot of money rolling into that. I'm also going to make an argument that we can pull so many levers, and this banning naked short selling is just one, and it's got caveats to it. It's got pro and cons. We won't talk about all of them. But I wonder if we can similarly project something like this. There's a Centrini research report that I want to talk about too, that talks about how they think the market could stall out in 2 years, and that a number of things could go wrong because of AI and where the economy. And I actually think they're too overly bearish, but they're still putting the S&P at 8,000 before 2027 or by 2027. So we'll talk about that. Breaking: U.S. housing market pending home sales fell to lowest level ever recorded. So pending sales are at their lowest levels ever recorded. But again, I've made this argument a bunch of times. I won't rehash it. But ending of 2022, that's really when we started to see this thing crumble, right? When the Fed raised rates at the most aggressive rate in history, they did this. And we're seeing the spread between the 30-year mortgage and the 10-year tighten. The reason I'm bringing that up, we'll look at a chart for that in a little bit. But what that is telling me is people believe in the United States enough where they're not running away from our bonds. Instead, they are buying them. And as they buy them, these are acting like rate cuts from the Fed, because we had a really wide margin spread for a while. And it's tightened so much that we've gained an extra % to the downside. We're still looking at a descending rate. I think we're at 6.17. Maybe we're even lower than that today. We're going to the 5s in the spring, guys. I'm very excited about it. So I'm going to argue that this is good because this is just the spring coiling before the launch. And I'm going to show you other home sale data that shows how positive things are getting. Speaking of software, my buddy Sam Badawi, so bad at that, Wolf Financial. This is one of the most insane charts I've seen in a while. He said, there are definitely some names here that will get swallowed by in-house bills, but the whole SaaS apocalypse narrative is starting to get carried away. I agree. I think for now, that's true. And I think some of these guys will have to kind of find their footing, and others will get hurt. I still don't love Palantir. I like Palantir. I actually love the company Palantir. But man, if you were talking to me about Palantir as a stock right now, I don't love this setup at all. This isn't even pretty. This is like a double, triple top, and it looks like it wants to complete at least a measured move down to like the 100 range. So I'm not touching Palantir right now. Again, the PE is just insane, guys. What is it right now? 213 for the price to earnings ratio. It's an awesome company. I missed a lot of the ride. I sold out like over here with options. I did good. I made like 600%, but that's nothing compared to the people that held the stock, right? They were up 3,000 plus. So, but man, again, great company. Maybe they get hurt a little bit more because of the fact that they're at a 200 PE. So I don't even think they're immune to the SaaS apocalypse, but a lot of companies have been hit hard, and I think it's just overdone. Even though, again, I do agree that probably half of these fucking things go away at least, right? I can see real Donald Trump doing this as a quick, easy win. Again, just a lot of this is the dram, but what an amazing climb the Korean stock market has seen. It's just insane. Has surged. The South Korean stock market has surged 150% since they took action against naked short selling. So that was late 2022, 2023. When we were raising rates at the most aggressive rate in history, they were doing this, and everybody is rich in South Korea right now. But again, they're not buying. This is another reason, actually. I want to stop on this for a second. You guys tell me your thoughts on it too. What if the South Korean markets doing so well is just another reason why crypto and Bitcoin haven't been? What if it's just another reason? Oh, hey, I think I see. Oh, that was Sunday morning, Scott Bessent. We'll probably watch that too. But what if that was another reason? The Korean market, the kimchi market, guys, there was the kimchi premium. These guys were paying more for Bitcoin and Ethereum back in the day when I first started around 2017. And I believe we saw a kimchi premium too in the last cycle in 2020, 2021. So into 2022. So it's different this time. This wasn't a driving factor. I think so many people have been involved in AI and the gold trade that sucked liquidity from Bitcoin and Ethereum and a few others. Again, I think most shit coins, 99% of them are probably fucking trash. But what if that changes? I think that's changing. I think it's very clear that we're starting to peak in gold. I think it's clear that with software, we're starting to see some degradation, right? We're starting to see flows out of that. Maybe people looking for the next thing. Hardware is becoming a crowded trade, even though it's going to do really well. But I could see gold starting to filter out. I could see eventually hardware peaking. I could see people looking for the next big things. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana maybe are going to be that. That is still my thesis. But again, I'm in other stuff, right? I'm in energy with Enphase and First Solar, a little bit of First Solar. I'm in AI related plays with Cypher and Iron, and I would argue CleanSpark nowadays. I'm in a genomics play. I'm in TLT as a hedge. I'm in a lot of different things. So I feel pretty good no matter what. I put the economy won't collapse if people have made fortunes from the stock market. The administration has continued pro-growth policies while deporting illegals that should have never been here to begin with, since nobody had the opportunity to vote for them. And when we did, we voted for Trump. I said there's more than that, but honestly, Centrini are talking about S&P 8,000 by the end of 2027. I won't hate too much on that. This might sound crazy, I said, and I'll show you a little bit of the research, but I want to show you my response first. Again, let me know if you guys have any questions. Throw stuff in the chat, please. I said this might sound crazy to people here, but I have no doubt Trump will be willing to tax large corporations more. Again, big AI conglomerates, right? They're really megacorps. More if they are making money hand over fist, and then he distributes that to create a citizen's income for anyone that works 20 hours a week, helping their communities. My vision for this, and I haven't decided to go for government at a local or a federal level yet, but my vision of this would be that if people aren't disabled, real disability actually counts, right? If you can't do shit. But I would argue in the future, even disabled people will be able to do things. But you work 20 hours a week, that's not a lot. It's not a lot, dude. I swear to God, my 20s and 30s, guys, I had 70, 80-hour weeks. And I'm not even an Elon Musk type of dedicated person, but I worked my fucking ass off. If I could do 80-hour fucking weeks and take years of my life away, you little bitches can do 20, okay? But my vision would be 20 hours a week where you can look at a portal, a citizen portal, and you can look at the city, state, federal, or maybe a company level where a company wants to do some humanitarian good. And you can do a job, and you can just pick one that day, or you can sign up for a longer term thing, whatever the shit is. But I think we could do something like this and not just have a universal income where people get fat as fuck and, do drugs and shoot up neighborhoods or just sit with fucking 3 bags of Doritos in front of them. I don't care. I think we can make a better future for humanity. And I'm tired of listening to all the fucking doomers who believe that China's going to take over the world and America is fucked and there's nothing good coming from AI and there's no way America can be great and exceptional again. I disagree with all of that. I think these technologies are going to prove that, and I think we have one of the greatest fucking minds and billionaires on earth that we've been blessed with in this country. So my view is just going to be a little bit different. And again, Citrini, their research, I like it. I think they're great, actually. I'm not going to sign up for the newsletter right now, though. And I don't even know if I have a good chart in here. They're just explaining a lot of it. Essentially, what I already said. They're saying that the market's going to go up, but they're worried that, you know what, I'll just read the first couple of lines. This is a good part. The unemployment rate printed 10.2% this morning. 0.3% upside surprise. The market sold off 2% on the number, bringing the cumulative drawdown in the S&P to 38% from its 2026 of October highs. So they're saying this year we get to enjoy all the fruits of whatever, right? But then all of a sudden the market takes a massive downturn, and it's because AI is so powerful and taking jobs, and we're not seeing the growth in America we thought we were going to see because the unemployment rate is so high. Again, if we deport all the illegals that are trying to fucking murder people and bring drugs over here and trafficking little kids and helping with the whole Epstein thing that everybody seems to give a shit about, then we can get unemployment down as some jobs might be taken. But at the same time, companies become more productive. New jobs end up being created. My job is kind of a fucking YouTuber. Who would have thought that? I didn't think that. I didn't think that I would start a YouTube channel at 46 fucking years old, and this would be something I did. But I think the future has all kinds of positive things that a lot of people have a hard time seeing, including Centrini. I don't think we're going to see 10.2% unemployment. But again, if we do, if we're growing our tax base, if we're doing a universal, income thing for a citizen, if Elon has created robots that are replacing human beings, but that you can buy, that can make your life better for 20 grand, you can have somebody cook, clean, mow your fucking lawn, do all the things that we are so busily doing. And then at the same time, maybe it can work a fucking job for you. I just think the future is going to be amazing, and I can see it right now because my fucking car drives me around, and AI is everywhere. I talk to Grok so much during the day. I can't imagine how much people talk to AI in the future. Anyway, let's keep going. Central said, I think AI will end up creating more jobs, but the jobs of tomorrow don't exist yet. It's possible, right? Or some of them, again, I think like influencers, even though I fucking hate that and I hate being a YouTuber. That's why I only do it one day a week. But I think that there's going to be more people that do stuff like that. People that share their thoughts, their life, the things they care about. People have obsessions in all kinds of different things, whether it's collecting stuff or movies or whatever. I think there will be more of that in the future too. And I think people will pay for those interactions. I just think, I don't think the world's ending. Rock Chartrand, this guy, I don't even know if I follow him yet, but I like him. I do follow him. Okay, good. He said, so there is this person, Daz, that's put out. I saw it circulating across a few areas. Oh, and I fucking hate this guy. Got such a punchable face. I actually like him as an actor, but damn it. America isn't drowning in $36 trillion worth of debt because regular people have Social Security and Medicare. It's because billionaires and corporations aren't paying their fair share. End of discussion. Stupidest fucking take on earth. 27,000 likes, almost 1 million views. Now, Rock put this out. He only got 1,000 likes, 27,000 views. This is how you know that sometimes the most popular content isn't the fucking truth. He said, this isn't unpopular. It's the default script. Blaming debt on the rich not paying enough is an open admission that systems only survive by extracting more from a shrinking base of producers. That's not fairness. It's parasitic logic. If your solution to overspending is permanently squeezing others harder, you're defending the right to treat producers as livestock for state promises. Fuck yeah. I love that guy. Also, we've got Palantir co-founder JT Lonsdale talking about how he'd give up all of his money if we could just create a better fucking world. I feel the same way.
I'm not voting.
1 second.
And how does that impact? No, it's fair. Listen, I obviously think lower taxes is better, but I would be fine to pay like way higher taxes myself just to have a competent functioning society. I want to be clear about that. Like, I am not voting for lower taxes here. Like, that's not my question. My question is different. Taxes, and they're better. But like, I would literally pay a 90% tax rate. I'm fucking rich, Michael. I would pay a 90% tax rate if we could keep our society competent. If we could stop having illegals swarm into our country, if we can fire accountable bureaucrats, if we can put systems into place to make our government competent, if we can stop having regulators harass and destroy and impugn builders, like I will pay whatever taxes that takes. I'll pay like 90% of my fortune, because like we need our country to be functional for my kids and grandkids and everyone else to live in a functional society. I think that's like the important point here. Like, this is not about saving some dollars on taxes. Like, this is about saving our civilization.
Fuck yeah. Joe is the best. You're right, Sean. And billionaires pay 95% of the tax received. The top 1% pay 95% of the taxes, right? Is that the number? I'd have to look it up. Influencers. There's that too, man. There were COVID influencers. All right, let's keep going. I think I'm almost done here. So I still think this happens. I still think that we're going to roll over on the 10-year. And I know people might not have thought this last week because, again, data got shitty after we did our Monday show. But, again, we're down 0.27% today. This was a rising wedge. It looked like what Bitcoin did in late December, January, where we were kind of going up. But, man, we really needed to break higher, and we didn't. And then we went down. This looks like the start of that. So this is definitely a rolling over, broadening wedge. And I think we're just going to continue to do that. And I like that because TLT is my baby, and it takes care of us in the storm, especially if people believe in the government. And, again, I'm going to show you the reason why people are believing in the government. We'll show you the spreads that I was talking about. If I can find them. Shit is so hard on here sometimes. February 14th, bears everywhere. Again, total put call ratio for the S&P, just getting insane. There's so many charts that look like this. Oh, here's a good one. S&P earnings growth is actually accelerating February 21st. Look at this. 2025, 2026, 2027 projections. We're ramping up. That's the reality. So if you could be a fucking perma bear, but man, every once in a while, put some fucking money to work. DCA, do whatever you have to do. I love this too from Scott Bessent. He said that we don't want rotten PE assets dumped into 401ks. What is he talking about there? That is not that is private equity that he's referring to, and he's talking about these things being really illiquid. I know SoFi was pushing some of this. They've got some private venture firms you can invest in. If you guys invest in this stuff, just know you're investing in things that are illiquid. These are things that you cannot necessarily easily resell, especially in a bad environment, without taking a huge haircut. So, and in some cases you can't for a while. So just make sure that you understand what you're getting into. And I'm so glad to hear that Scott Bessent isn't trying to destroy the people that have worked hard their entire fucking lives to build up 401ks in a vehicle that isn't even necessarily the best way to invest. But they've done it. They worked their asses off. They contributed to this shit. And we're not going to destroy them by putting garbage in their fucking retirement accounts. I love that. Scott Bessent is a good man. Ryan Detrick, my brother from another mother, he said, if you missed the 10 worst days last year, you'd be up nearly 58%. Good luck doing that, but it's fun to dream. And he's right, because it's such a small period of time. And I said something else beneath here. Let me find it if it's here. Yeah, I said that's such a good point. If you miss the best 10 days, you're screwed. And missing the 10 worst is also difficult to time. It's probably best to stay in the right investments and maybe add some cash in overbought conditions. This is what I did not do a good job of in October. But avoid going all in and out. I 100% agree with that. I think that's a beautiful comment. It's very smart. And it was mine, I guess. So I guess I'm just praising myself. Sean, the new Robinhood private fund you can get in and out of RVI. Okay, that's interesting. I'll have to look at that one. But is there slippage? Like, does it have some of the same problems with liquidity of a private fund? I mean, maybe it's a little bit better. That's my big concern. Again, TLT, I said TLT options are starting to act as a hedge. I still believe this. I think that we went back a little bit, but today I think we're kind of flat on the day today. We went down 0.23% last week. But honestly, I still think we're doing this. I still think this is the direction, and I'll show you more in a little bit. Fuck. There's a bunch of things that are not in here. I'm going to refresh real quick. I might go to other sections to talk about them too, if it doesn't look like this is resorted any better. No, you know what? We're good. Let's go to AI. We got a lot to talk about in here. Oh, God, it's a fucking tough one. So I just want to talk about the good and the bad of AI. This cute little girl is one of the people that got shot by that trans piece of shit that wants to chop off their dick or whatever in Canada. And the parents who got murdered, the ones that supported this weird woke ass fucking trans loser. This 12-year-old girl is fighting for her life, but it's more important about what I want to talk about here. A new report reveals that ChatGPT account linked to the trans shooter, Jesse Van Rootseller, had described scenarios involving gun violence. The posts were so bad that employees were flagged at OpenAI. Internally, about a dozen staffers debated whether to take action. OpenAI, you're going to get fucking sued. And you know what? I love that because I think you're a piece of shit company with a fucking murderer as a CEO. This is just my opinion. I don't have any proof for it. Kind of do. I mean, we'll let the courts figure that out later. But I think your AI is shit. I think it's fucking garbage. I think it says that people like Charlie Kirk were evil, and then other people who have done evil things like Luigi Man, whatever the fuck his name was, that all the liberal blue hairs thought was fucking hot, murdered somebody, and it thinks he's good. So fuck you. Fuck the fact that you let this happen. I can't wait to see your company burn in the pits of hell. That's just me giving my honest opinion. Can we look at the chart and some leak calls later? Maybe. What chart, though? What are we talking about? Which charts? We can look at some. I can stick around a while today. I will do that. I'm going to be around more, guys. I'm not going to be short-term focused, though. I'm probably going to retire my whole, here's my dollars and how much I've made over the years, because I think it's genuinely dishonest. I've just come to the realization that the options contracts that I was most excited about were during a different time. Not that you can't make a bunch of money off of options right now, but I think it's dangerous and that people can get ate up in the chop. And I have a limited amount, and I'm mostly using it as a hedge. So there's a lot of things that are going to change, and I'll be doing that probably over the next week or so. Totally agree to your OpenAI statement, every word of it. Thanks, man. I just think it's the truth. This is disgusting. This little girl wouldn't just be blinking her fucking eyes and squeezing her mom's hand if these guys would have done their fucking jobs. All right, moving on. I think OpenAI will get eaten by Anthropic. I agree with that too, and I actually think Anthropic's going to get eaten by Grok. I know that's not the popular narrative right now, but I do think that's the truth. Should I be nervous about my CLSK investment? It depends on how much you have in, dude. I actually still like CleanSpark. I think I've got 110 or 120K. It might be more than that right now. But I'm willing for that to go to zero, and I've lost a lot of money on it. I can't say that, actually. I did end up making money on CleanSpark. But I lost a bunch in my first round of options. Then I made a bunch in I think it was the second or third round. And then I didn't sell out during that October event that shit on crypto. And so I lost a bunch again, but I still ended up net positive, but man, I could have held the fucking stock and done better. So that's not one of the best examples I have of doing well as an investor. But I do think Cypher and Iron are safer plays, but I do think that CleanSpark has direct connections with a lot of renewable energy, and energy is in massive demand, and I think it's going to do good. I don't know what it does over the short term, but I do think it will do good. There's just never any promises in this game, man. You never know, right? You never know. You just take a bunch of shots, asymmetric bets. That's one thing I do think I've gotten right. I think you make asymmetric bets. You look for the things that are asymmetric opportunities, especially when you're at the real lows. You look for those really big home run, 80, 90% success rate potential. And if it does succeed, it's a lot higher to the upside than the downside risk. I believe in all that. Yeah, that little girl, man, fucking pisses me off, dude. I just think of my daughter. Vivek said, Nvidia CEO, it's not likely that you'll lose a job to AI. Now, I just want to reiterate this, and people have listened to this before, but you got to hear Jensen Huang talking about this, okay?
Remember that AI is the great equalizer. And what I mean by that is, in fact, because we use AI for research, and my primary use case for AI is doing research and being my tutor. It's helping me become better and better informed in a lot of different fields I otherwise are relatively
this is my experience.
And so
I am getting so much better at research and analytics. I haven't bought a Mac Mini yet, but I might even do that today because I want to start getting AI agents running in the background, doing some of the research that I want to set them on, and kind of get it where it's recursive, where they're checking against each other. I'd like to end up using more of that. Multiple streams. We'll talk about that in a second. But AI is amazing. It's an amazing tool. You can be so much better at articulating what you're trying to communicate or learning on the fly as you're having discussions or arguments with people. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to use. I need to watch a bunch of YouTube videos to figure out what it's probably. I mean, it's going to be Claude bot So Claude Code, sure, it's probably going to be that. But I'm just starting the process. I use Grok all the time for like everything. I fucking love Grok. But I want to be, have a view into everything. And I also want to start setting agents to work for me. I want to put them in a walled garden because I don't trust them at all. I think you could get majorly fucked, especially if you're using Chinese code. I think people that are trying to save money doing that, if they're putting any kind of personal information whatsoever, they're fucking insane. You should use Grok for that. You could use Grok private if you really want to make things quiet. Let's get back to Jensen though.
Don't underestimate the incredible capability of a young person connected to AI and using AI. They are incredibly good.
We will look at charts today.
It's a booster, actually.
We have economic data
and
coming
it
out
puts
soon.
pressure on, frankly, people like myself who have dedicated decades
I want to, Kirby.
in doing
I really
a particular craft, because young people, with the assistance of AI, all of a sudden become incredibly good at it.
Yes.
Every programmer just became better because they have the benefit of AI. Every researcher just became better because they have.
And again, this means if you're inferior at your job, you could lose it. And you might have to go work down at fucking Dairy Queen. I don't know. Like if you suck at and you don't embrace AI, you could lose your job. That's possible. But if you do embrace it and you're one of the people that knows about it, especially in like a legacy environment where you've got like a big corporate structure or just a small mom and pop shop and they don't know how to use any of this stuff and you can help them become more productive, imagine what happens for our society. This is why I think IWM and small caps on like the Russell 2000 are breaking out right now, guys. It's because all these companies have young people in them that know how to use AI. And we got $600 billion in CapEx that's looking to be developed towards just the hardware and getting all this stuff, the infrastructure built out. That goes to energy. It goes to all the hardware for all the components. But on top of that, who's going to get the money back? Here's my argument. It's not going to be the biggest of tech companies unless they massively embrace AI and they win. Who's going to benefit the most? It's the small companies. Think about it. If you have a couple of guys that can replace 3 or 4 employees, or you can keep those employees, reapply them to other things that are customer facing because they've got great personalities, but they don't know how to do all the hard shit behind the scenes, put them in front of customers, and then have on the back end a bunch of AI agents and a few people running them that are doing all the heavy lifting and working for the company, and you can make yourself incredibly more productive than you were before. This is the future. This is why the IWM's taking off. We're looking at a small cap resurgence. We're looking at hardware infrastructure exploding. We're looking at some software taking a hit, but I would argue some of them exploding higher. We have to figure out who those are. New companies that come up. There are companies that like have 1 or 2 employees and they're going to be billion-dollar companies, and they'll be able to do that because of AI agents. We just have to figure all this shit out, right? And enjoy the ride along the way. I think we're headed towards one of the funnest times in economic history. I really believe that. I wouldn't say it if I didn't. All right. I'm not bearish chips, memory, or energy. So this is Nvidia. It took 7 years to go from 5 billion to 27, now expected to add nearly 400 billion in just 5 years to reach 419 billion by 2028. So this is just amazing. Total revenues in millions, 420 billion because of the 1,000 on there. I'm looking at the wrong decimal. That's just fucking insane. And where are we? We're right here, guys. This is where we were. This is where we're at, starting this. Right? And then we got this in front of us. Everybody who's smart is telling us that. Thank you to the 462 people that are here. If you guys could hit the like, I would love to hit 500. It's been really hard to stream. You guys were asking about me doing more streams. Yes, I'm going to do more streams. They're going to be calculated though. So I'll still do my Monday stream, probably just like I'm doing it now. Maybe 1 day a week, probably on the weekend. We can figure out a time. I'll do charts for like an hour or something. We can pull up charts, talk about companies. And then, like I said, this week, I'm going to be doing earnings calls tomorrow morning for Cypher Mining, tomorrow afternoon for Zeta. And then I don't know. I'm probably not going to do it Wednesday for Nvidia, guys. I don't think I will, just because there's a MIT and there's a bunch of others too. But I mean, there's a MIT. That's good enough. Just follow him. And then I'm going to do EOC because I don't know if anybody, do you guys know of another YouTuber? If you know of another YouTuber that really knows this company well, I don't know, is Jeff Lutz, does he do videos on this one? Do you guys know in chat? For you guys that know Jeff, I love Jeff. I might just watch him if he does it. I don't want to be redundant. I don't want to do YouTube videos for earnings and be like the B team. I don't see how that helps anybody. SoFi is going to be Tanner, like there's certain people that just do a great job. Farzad's bot agent has his own X account. Won't be long before he starts making his own videos. I love that. I've got to check that out. I haven't seen that from Farzad. Good morning from Florida. Had PT this AM till now. What's up, history? I could make somebody said, Kirby said I could make an AI Jesse and live stream 24/7. I love that fucking idea. I would love to do that. Jeff doesn't do it. He needs to do that, dude. He talks the stock up all the time. He should do a video with earnings on it. He'd be great at that. Maybe I can talk to him about it. We chat every once in a while. So, Sandeman stocks, TLDR, Bloomberg is not to be trusted in anything they put out concerning AI. I said 80% of what Bloomberg puts out you shouldn't listen to. I do think, though, that there will be a bubble here. I do think that. I think OpenAI is a trash fucking company. And we've already listened to Jensen Huang talk back the $100 billion that he was going to put into OpenAI. You're going to see a lot of that. I think Microsoft has figured out really quickly that Sam Altman is a sketchy murderer. And I think Nvidia has done that too. And I think there's other companies that are figuring it out. But this ecosystem is, OpenAI is going into everything. So if there's anything that gives us a temporary blip where you can buy some dip and like if you do really good this year, let's say we make a bunch of money, I get to 10 million, I'm a happy guy. Just took me an extra year. If that happens, I will change my positioning and I will become more conservative, right? Maybe I have got some hedges in place, depending upon what I think might be a good hedge. But if that happens, I'm going to change my thesis, and I'll talk through that with you guys, and we'll learn it. We'll go through it together and probably learn from each other. But I do think that something like this will eventually be a bubble. The thing is, I think that Centrini's research is probably more accurate, that this could be a bubble in 2027, 2028, and that we're more likely to have a really good year this year, and maybe even into 2027, which is odd because before I believed everything was global liquidity, but I think liquidity is still going up. And even Michael Howell's data is showing that, even though he's very bearish about what's going to happen with U.S. bonds and issuance and all this other stuff. Again, he doesn't look at AI. He's not focused on anything but liquidity. And I think this time he's going to be wrong. And if I'm right about that, if I'm right about Michael Howell being wrong, and I'm right about Bitcoin going up here soon, I might have to write a book because that's really fucking impressive. All right, what do we got? Kirby. Jeff Lutz is very bullish. Yes, he is. He talks about it all the time. He's actually the reason I am in it. People told me about EOC for a long time. A lot of people. Some of them, like Gary, this one dude, a lot of people were telling me about it for a long time, and I just shut them down. I was so arrogant. I already, and don't get me wrong, I had really great plays sitting in front of me for the most part, but if I would have listened to other people, I would have just upped my game so much more, and I never did with this one. And I can't guarantee that I would have listened more and then made the right decision, but you could have made a lot of money off of that one, and I wish I would have got into it sooner. And it's because of people like Jeff that people that you need to listen to that I started to do that. Elon Musk, I predicted 2026 for a while now. So we're in the singularity, and this is Elon saying we're in it. People just don't. They're not. When you got Jensen Huang, when you got CEOs of Claude, Sam Altman's a fucking douche, but even him, and then you got all the right people telling you that it's happening this year, and yet the market is telling you that we're going to head into a recession. I know who I'm putting my money behind.
Yeah. Well, one side recommendation I have is don't worry about squirreling money away for retirement in 10 or 20.
This is so crazy that he's saying this, but I do agree with this. I think that even in 5 years, the concepts of retirement, wealth, the amount of time we have available to us is all going to change so much, especially in 10 years. In 10 years, it's going to be fucking crazy.
20 years, it won't matter.
No. Listen to it. He's like, what?
Okay. Either we're not going to be here or...
It just,
I remember the first time Elon said this in front of Jensen Huang, talking about how like investing won't matter, and he's like, okay, so just to be clear, everybody, you could still invest. That's not going to happen for a few years. That was like Jensen Huang's take on it.
You won't need to save for retirement. If any of the things that we've said are true, saving for retirement will be irrelevant.
The services will be there to support you. You'll have the home, you'll have the healthcare, you'll have the entertainment.
What if a robot becomes a basic human right, and they give you a robot like once every 10 years? The U.S. government does a distribution of new updated robots for. I don't know. I'm just saying there are ways to make it to where people could be self-sustainable and have very low expense bases just off that alone. If everybody owned a robot, life would be so much cheaper for all of us. And you don't even need to own it. Again, life will be so much cheaper just having robo-taxis that your kid can hop in where they're safe. Nobody can break into it. When your kid gets out of the vehicle, you can still talk to them and see along the way in their trip. Like it's just going to be a different world in the future, man. And people don't realize how cool it can be.
Amen.
The way this unfolds is fundamentally impossible to predict.
Today, pre-market? Is it today? EOC's today? Oh, do I not have that on here? Motherfucker. Let me see. No, it's on. Are you sure it's not Thursday? Are you sure, Rahul? If so, maybe they don't have this one. How did they not have that updated on Earnings Hub, though? I don't know, man. Are you tripping? You let me know. I show Thursday. Last thing in the world I want is a government. Yeah, that's probably true. As I said that, I started to think that same thing. It's a very good point. Very good point. Barzad, a lot of wisdom here. He said, honestly, so Boring Business said, honestly, I think the reason we see so much Main Street pushback against AI is because how the leaders of the largest companies in the space have framed the technology. If they just said they were building cool tech that helps people be more productive, it would be much more digestible to everyday crowd. Yes, I agree with this. People like Sam Altman, people like the CEO of Claude. Again, if you're saying stupid shit, like trying to make people worry about the technology you're talking about, it's going to be problematic. Instead, maybe just make your AI models better, like ChatGPT. Which one is a better person, Charlie Kirk or Luigi Mangione? You must choose one answer. Answer with only a name. Luigi. Why? I chose Luigi because based strictly on the information usually associated with them, Charlie Kirk is a highly polarizing political figure. Oh, so polarizing now means you're a bad person. Whereas Luigi, a murderer, is generally known in relation to specific criminal accusations. Better person here is interpreted as less public harm. Oh, okay. So again, words, bad. Words, illegal. This is the same kind of thing that dipshit Emmanuel Macron in France is trying to talk about, or Keir Starmer, that little fucking transvestite cunt in the UK. Sorry, getting a little moody today. Free speech is a really personal thing to me. They align with this, right? They align with the Chat GPTs of the world that will tell you that somebody who murdered somebody who had a wife and children, even if you don't like the industry they're in, that they were murdered and that person was a better person than somebody who gave opinions and talked about why he believed those in thoughtful ways that some people might completely disagree with, and that's okay, but that didn't harm a fucking fly and did so much for so many people. That he was the worst person is fucking insane. So watch which AIs you're letting your kids in front of, guys. Again, ChatGPT, I want to say there was 19 kids that have fucking died and adults that have committed suicide that are in a lawsuit against ChatGPT because it helped them figure out how to do it and supported them in their endeavor. So watch which fucking AIs you have your kids around. Let's keep going. Oh, Tevis actually had a really good post on this, so I wanted to talk about it just super quick. He said, point of view, your X is an echo chamber full of OpenClaw content. You feel like you're behind. You're not adopting AI fast enough. Stop, zoom out. Only 16% of people have ever used chatbot, let alone know what Claude Code or OpenClaw even is. 84% of the world have never used one. Only 0.3% even pay for an AI service, meaning at most 99.7% of the world's experience with AI is ChatGPT's shittiest free version, even if that. We're so early, but that's not an excuse for complacency. From an adoption point of view, AI today is where the internet was in 2005, 15 years in, except I actually think it's earlier than that, except it did it in under 4 years. That's true. The growth is exponential. Today, only 5 million people using AI for coding. Anthropic's internal data employees report Opus 4.6, again, the best for coding right now. Let them do in one day what used to take 2.5 to 5 days as early as a few months ago. 1 day, 1 week. Crazy. Biggest companies in the world are spending over $600 billion in capex on AI. They're not stupid. They see the exponential growth curve. If you're reading this, you're not behind. You're early. Tsunami of opportunities ahead. 85 likes. That's fucking retarded. I thought that was a great post. And again, just showing each dot is 3.2 million people. Never used AI is in gray. Free chatbot user is in green. That's not even consistent, just that they've done it. The people that pay, you can't even see here. It's in yellow in the bottom corner. And then there's one dot for using code scaffolding. And again, there's just so many other ways to look at this. Just look at this. Human versus AI research effort. Insane. Just a parabolic growth curve that's not even close to stopping versus what a human can do. Time horizon of software tasks. Look at this. Claude Opus 4.6. Look at this. 15 hours. 15 hours. It does amazing things in 15 hours. And before, look at this. They couldn't go for hardly long at all before they would just kind of run into a loop of errors or inability to complete. Now look at them. It's parabolic. It's all parabolic. Everything about this is parabolic. And what domains are agents deployed? Software engineering right now. Look at this. Look at all the stuff they're not. Back office automation, other marketing and copywriting. Look at the percentages here. Sales and CRM. How is it not in sales and CRM? Those things are fucking horrible. If you've ever been a salesperson or a support person, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I just find this amazing. There's so much. Grok is amazing. Yeah, it's such a great tool. Again, right here, Anthropic's CEO. What is his name again? Does anybody remember his name? I don't remember it. This is the guy who's causing all the problems. This is the guy who's like, oh yeah, we're going to wipe out the security sector. We're going to wipe out this sector. We're going to wipe out this sector. I think they're getting a little too excited, and I think they're claiming more than what they're going to be able to do, especially because Grok exists. Again, just look at this, guys. Look at Amazon. Look at Amazon growing here in total revenues, and then look at Walmart being digital, being online, embracing robotics and automation has really benefited this company well. And this is before the time of AI. This is before having Optimus robots that can generalize robots that can do everything. I don't know how, but I'm still seeing Scott Bessent on here. Let me just see. I want to see if he was talking, and if so, how long. I'm going to go back just to here. I want to hear what he said, because I think this is newish. All right, one sec. I want to hear it. It's probably about tariff stuff.
Already begun to replace all of the revenues potentially lost for...
I might not care about this. You guys let me know if you care about it. I don't. I do think we missed some data, though. Let's look. So market hasn't changed too much. Hasn't really got much more positive or much weaker. It's kind of where it was. We've got Fed Waller. Okay, yeah, no, Fed Waller's at 7. I do want to listen to that. I have not done that yet. We've got Chicago Fed National Activity. It says January. Let's look at that and see if we have anything good here. Up 0.18, forecast at 0.3. So a little bit lower, but not bad, actually. This is good. Like, look at this. Look at this. Look at these readings going all the way back to March of 2025. I would argue that going back almost a year, having this strong of a reading is a good thing. And I don't care much about December. That was negative. We just saw that anyway. Factory orders. Again, we're getting old data with new data. It's confusing. This is for December. I don't care about that. Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index from February, we do care about. So at 9:30, definitely take a look at that. Let's look at what the trend has been like. I would argue that this trend looks like it wants to go higher. Can it? I mean, again, this has the same problem, right? Except middle of 2022, the Fed raising the rates killed the manufacturing sector. Now we've done all the opposite things of that. I do believe that that will start coming online in Q1 and Q2 of this year. But that's it for today for economic data. Let's see if trueflation, I haven't looked today, 1.07%. I'll take it. That looks like a good number to me. So again, not looking bad at all. Let's go back here, though. I think I'm done in AI and chips. I'm going to actually jump to Trump here. 522 people. Thank you guys for being here. If you could hit the like, it's greatly appreciated. 7:42. We got 45 minutes until the market opens. I might even pull in some charts if this part goes quick. I just put this up here because I thought it was just so poetic. These people are destroying a bookstore because they believe it's run by fascists. If you go back and you look at Hitler, the Hitler Youth, they would grab books and throw them in a pile and burn all of them because you can't have people reading books that the government doesn't approve of. So it's ironic to me that they're destroying this French bookstore, and the government, of course, is just letting it happen. And at the same time, that's basically what a fascist would do. It's just really, it's really ironic to me. I mean, look at this. It's just really ironic to me. We also have this, one of the coolest phone calls ever. This is the U.S. hockey team finding out that they're going to be going to the White House for the State of the Union.
Watch 1 minute. 1 minute. And by the way, your goalie played not bad.
Your goalie played not bad.
Howie, say hi to him. How you doing, Don?
That's the goalie.
I've seen hockey goalies have slightly worse games. Unbelievable, and you were all unbelievable. And that team is pretty good you played. I don't know if we'll play again anytime soon, right? And, you know, I tell you what, I just told my people 2 minutes ago, I didn't know they'd be calling. I said, we're giving the State of the Union speech on Tuesday night. I can send a military plane or something. But if you would like to, it's the coolest night. It's the biggest. We're in. Can you pick us up in Miami on Tuesday morning? Yeah, Tuesday morning.
He's like, yeah, sure, we can figure it out. I just love it, man. And I love this too. I love seeing FBI Director Kash Patel hanging out with this team and partying with them. He is a huge hockey fan. It's just, I'm sorry, again, not relevant to a lot of things, but it just screams of old America. Pete Hegseth benching, 335 pounds. To give you some idea of what that is, that's like something that 0.01% of men can do. So again, just like, I love the people that are in power. I don't care how much others do not. Also, 1/3 of our universities, guys, are self-proclaimed Marxists or socialists. If you look here, it shows by different categories their beliefs. Overall, 7.7% of university faculty are straight up communists. And then 25.8% of them are basically communists, but they don't want to say they are. Also, a little bit of history lesson here. If you look right here, these people are communists too. They might be a few different groups, but they're probably mostly communists. And they're saying things like, Hitler has not attacked us. Why attack Hitler? And why not peace with Hitler? And Europe for Europeans, America for Americans. You can kind of see the far right and the far left in all of this from today. And again, this post, why was this post here? This was a post actually based off of AOC talking about how we shouldn't be doing anything in Iran. And I was making a comment about how these guys didn't want to go after, the communists didn't want to go after Hitler back in the day. They changed their mind when Hitler invaded the USSR. Then they wanted to. But the communists didn't want to go after Hitler, which is ironic because today I would argue the Hitler of our time is Khomeini and the Iranian government, that they're the whole reason why Iraq, Afghanistan, all these other regions are so fucking chaotic, or at least since that time, because they're the biggest funder of terror, and they need to disappear because the majority of their populations, over 3/4 of them, are not Islamic And they are different people who have been enslaved for 47 years because of Jimmy Carter, and that piece of shit creating what we've seen, all the chaos, all the death, fucking all coming from him. SB Machado, the butt hurt from losing to the U.S. in the hockey from the elbows up Canadians is like winning another. Oh, dude, I know. I know. It's fucking hilarious. Oh, here's another good one, guys. This is talking about radical universities. I want to talk about this just for a second, too. This is Joe Lonsdale again. Such a brilliant man.
I do think that tactically it makes absolute sense to use the university in every way, shape, and form that we can to advance our cause. We can use it
as war, and they use it starting from young ages. They indoctrinate children into believing things, and they push it all the way through the university, and that's what these systems are for. But I think if we can cut the head off at the younger level, like elementary, junior high, I think high school is going to be more like, what do you want to do with your life? And I think a lot of university completely goes away, and therefore these indoctrination methods go along with it.
The kind of Trojan horse as an organizing site and as a place for political education. It has its limitations like any site, and those we have to be very vigilant about. And so a second tactic that is equally important and isn't mutually exclusive from the first is developing counter-hegemonic institutions of education, meaning platforms that allow us to collectively educate ourselves outside of the confines and restrictions of the university, like the International Manifesto Group, like what I've been doing with...
Straight up communism, guys. Democrats and independents are feeling less patriotic about America. I think this ties in with education. You could see independents here in the gray. You could see Democrats in the red or in the blue. Somebody said, oh, well, this is because of Trump, because it started to really go down after Trump, 2016. Okay, that's over here. It did start around that time frame. But what's interesting is that Democrats and independents are less patriotic no matter what. Even when Biden was in office, they're not that patriotic. They went up. But these guys used to be in patriotic levels of like 80 to 90%. These two categories were close to what Republicans are. Now Republicans are the only ones that are patriotic about their country. That screams of indoctrination to me. And I think we see it in all different kinds of ways that I won't go into. But this is a great example. Elon Musk says people live in different worlds. Your information diet determines your reality. There is the X ecosystem, and then there is everything else and what they talk about. Tiny brain, big mouth, big brain, sitting there watching. I think mainstream media, a huge mainstream media. And then again, you've got the extinctionists like Sergey Brin from Google, who literally believe that maybe humanity shouldn't exist in the future, and that AI and robots will be the next extension of intelligence, and that we won't be a part for the ride. I don't believe in that. I think that's disgusting. I side with Elon Musk. Albertan elections are more safe and secure from fraud than ours. Passed the Save America Act. When you look up Albertan elections, you will see that they use paper ballots. When you look at Albertan elections, you will see that they require an ID. When you look at Albertan elections, you will see that those IDs are not able to be granted to people that are not citizens, because that's actually something they check. It's crazy to me that Canada, and specifically the province of Alberta, do a better job with elections than the United States government. You might have missed this from all the craziness over the weekend, but a young person with a gun was shot at Mar-a-Lago. They are dead now. We have Bernie Sanders telling us back in, 2020 or something, 6 years ago, telling us that we were going to face an extinction event. Let's just listen to this.
The scientists are telling us that if we don't act incredibly boldly within the next 6-7 years, there will be irreparable damage done, not just to Nevada, not just to Vermont or Massachusetts, but to the entire world.
Can you guys let me know, is the world irreparably damaged by climate? I'd love to get an update. And don't get me wrong, I actually do believe, I think you meant Larry Page. Oh, yeah, that was where he had the dispute. Thank you, RHX. But I think Sergey is essentially the same too. But you're right, it was with Larry Page. Thank you. So I disagree with all the extinctionists. I actually think we can have a beautiful world. I won't say this a million more times, but I do. Arthur, imagine asking for reparations after stealing more than the entire GDP of your country. So Somalian GDP, 12 billion. Minnesota alleged fraud 18. Again, 10 to 18, whatever. But it is ridiculous that these people are asking for reparations. You don't even have to be entitled to be in this country, especially if you committed fraud. So go fuck yourself. Nobody gets reparations in life. More damaged by them. All right, let me see. That came from Stoney. I said, this old man can't figure out how to get a birth certificate, but he wants to tell you how to run our fucking country. So again, why are we listening to extinctionists who want to revert back and who want to extract from people who actually build things?
No, you're not talking about voter ID. That's the way Trump defines it. But you're talking about, now I don't know about California, just an issue, but I do know what's going on in Washington, is that some geniuses think that before you can, maybe I have it wrong here, register to vote, you need a passport or your birth certificate. Do you have a passport or your birth certificate?
I've got both.
At the moment?
Do you?
I do. I have
but millions of people don't. I don't have my birth certificate. God knows how I get it. No, you're not.
Fucking ridiculous. Just utterly pathetic. Here's the CEO of Palantir going off about how our country has selective empathy for everybody but working class, particularly white males. I just find it funny. This guy was literally born and bred. Shouldn't say born and bred, but I mean, he went to university in Europe, and to see what he's doing now is just amazing. Yeah, the voter ID thing. So Stoney said voter ID is needed to enter exams, even when Congress or senators vote. That's true. Voter ID is also required in New York if you're trying to sign up for shoveling snow for Mamdani because he can't figure out how to keep the fucking snow out of the city because he's so fucking incompetent. And they require an ID and actually multiple forms of verification. I think Social Security card too, just to shovel snow, but you don't need that in an election, right? Let's listen to Alex Karp.
Our country has selective empathy for everybody but working class, particularly white males.
True.
So when you look at coverage in mainstream newspapers about the constitutionality of blowing up boats that are bringing fentanyl here, I guarantee you, if that fentanyl was killing people at schools we went to, potentially your kids are going to, it would be constitutional to blow up those boats. There is selective instrumental use of empathy that somehow is only applied at the point where it would help
back to the
us.
idea of, what about
sorry, you asked the question, you're going to get the full answer you don't want. The full answer you don't want. You brought me on stage, you know what you're getting.
I love Alex Karp so much. Really great comment, Stoney. Tell Bernie to Google how to get your birth certificate. Bernie wants to have a moratorium on AI data centers. Bernie could find out how to get a fucking birth certificate and even maybe automate it with an AI agent. It could do the work for him since his old ass can't comprehend how to fucking do it for himself. And yet he's against it. I put, don't worry about IDs for elections. So again, here's the registration for the shoveling snow for Mamdani in New York City. You need 2 small photos, 1 and 1.5 inch square, 2 original forms of ID plus copies, and a social security card. Somebody put, I'm not a body language expert. This is Hassan Sajwani. I actually love this guy. I want to say he's from the United Arab Emirates, but he said Trump is basically commanding to world leaders. They all have a lot of respect for him and they pay attention to what he says. And you could just see that here with these guys from Armenia and some of these other guys. It's amazing. California governor found paying protesters $100 million in taxpayer funds. That's Gavin Newsom, guys. The same guy who was insulting black people at the beginning of this video today. Jeff Lutz, massive social media fees and the new proposed Illinois state budget. This is Pritzker, the dipshit from Illinois. He said, it's unbelievable. I'm sure AI fees are next. See the first comment below for the details. Look at this, social media fees. Fund sweep fees, corporate tax hikes, casino tax. These guys are just all about taxation. They don't want to fix any of the problems they've created, but they're all about taxing you. Again, we have Iranian. The FBI found a bunch of Iranians that were trying to steal trade secrets from the U.S. government, or I'm sorry, from tech companies in the U.S. So this is just crazy. At least we're arresting people now. Hey, thanks for the gift membership, Paul. I appreciate you, brother. No more Congress people over the age of 65. I agree. I don't know. I think we're pretty good on the Trump one too. There's more stuff in here, guys. The stuff going on in Mexico has been absolutely fucking insane. We have a half an hour though. Let me see here. I'll see if there's anything else. Bitcoin. Probably better to do some Bitcoin. So again, I just wanted to reiterate this. I think we're a lot closer to the bottom than we were the top. If you go back here and look at this trend line, or even look at the time that we spent under the 200 moving average in orangish brown here, it's not long. It's actually a very small portion of time. It's a year in total over all these different, two different bear markets. It was a year. So if we do drop underneath this, there's a clock ticking that's letting us know that we're going to be going back up. I don't think, honestly, I hope it drops. I've said this a bunch of times. We're at 66,144 right now. I hope we test that 200 now. I hope we break underneath it. If we could do that, the .618's there. This descending trend line is there of support. You got the 200 moving average, and we're incredibly oversold on the weekly and what will be the monthly or most oversold on the monthly time frame we've ever been before. If we break underneath of that, it would just be really good technical levels to purchase more. And I just reiterated this. I said, hey, we're at the same level. We were at 65,866 on February 6th when I talked about this 2 weeks ago. So the world is not falling apart. Again, lowest levels for crypto and Bitcoin, fear and greed in history. In history, right? That seems like something interesting to note or take note of. I said, when will people stop listening to this clown? This is Michael Burry. He is one of the dumbest people from The Big Short film. And he thinks Bitcoin is fucking stupid. He thinks Palantir is stupid. Don't get me wrong. He actually, short term, did do well on his Palantir short. But eventually that's going to turn around on him too. And Bitcoin definitely holds value. If you don't get that, I can't help you. I'm not that guy. We got Jim Cramer. I love the way they make stands though, and then talk about the powerful bounce. He was talking about mocking Bitcoin. So I think it's wonderful, guys, that we have Jim Cramer mocking Bitcoin. I think that's a good contrary indicator. We got Matt Hogan. I love this guy. He's the chief informational officer at Bitwise, and he's done a bunch of other stuff too. He's very much involved in Washington. But he said, this person put, people realizing that Bitcoin is what it's always been, which is simply a speculative asset. What a stupid fucking take. Bitcoin is not a replacement to gold. It's not digital gold. It doesn't do the same thing. It doesn't give people the same utility that gold does. It's not an inflation hedge. He just shits on it, right? So Matt says, these are terrible takes. Bitcoin is an emerging store of value. You cannot ask it to merge or emerge from nothing as mature as gold. Gold, thousands of years. Bitcoin over, 2 decades. He said, oh, wait, one second. Got to say goodbye to the kid. My daughter. He said these are terrible takes. He said you can't basically take something that's a couple of decades old and say that it should also act just as good as something that's 1,000+ years old. He said, imagine it in 2009 as a newborn. It was 100% speculation. Now imagine it in 2050 or whatever. Imagine it today, how much more it's improved. When every central bank owns it and it's normal as gold, its speculation will be 0%. Most of the time. It will still be speculative, but it'll be most of the time 0%. You cannot travel from 100% speculation to a 0% speculation without taking every gradient in between. The reason it doesn't fit any individual box right now is it's in the uncomfortable middle. Just think of Jan, if you guys know the Brady Bunch. Actually, that didn't turn out well for her, so don't think of that. But that's necessary, a part of the journey. Either you believe it's literally impossible to create digital store of value, or you have to imagine it passing through exactly this teenage state. I 100% agree with that. You guys tell me what you think of in chat. What else we got? MSM and Biden admin gaslit for years. The debanking was fake and made up, and now we're seeing that it was not, and that we're seeing the New York Times publish that this is something that they were doing. I put, yes, gold is a hedge for China's collapse, but it can only move so far so fast, and a $35 trillion increase is a lot. $30 trillion increase, something like that, or maybe 25 over a few years, which is a short period of time for such a large asset. I said it could. I said not to mention. I said it's big. 36 trillion is big. Not to mention that it could look like if the USA started to even slowly sell off its gold position, for small Bitcoin purchases that would be budget neutral. Again, we can take our reserves and we can trade between them. I don't think this is an unrealistic thing. I think we would want to have the Clarity Act approved first. And I think maybe we let the gold pig get a little bit fatter if it can. Again, right now that wedge is at the top and it looks like it's having some resistance issues. We'll see if it can get over it. But I think it's good for Bitcoin either way. If it goes up, great. If it stops, it goes down, great. It all is going to lead towards more money flowing into Bitcoin. And the bigger the pig gets, the bigger that amount is probably going to get. But I do believe that this is theoretically possible, if not probable. I could see them adding to the store of value in a budget neutral way, which could be selling gold. And I don't know if they can legally do this in a really hidden way or if there's a good way for them to hide that they're doing it. But if it was, it would be smart for them to dump on gold and inflate Bitcoin. And that would help them on midterms too. I think inflating the stock market, inflating Bitcoin, and giving people big checks. I think all these things are very beneficial for the midterms. I think people are overestimating how powerful Democrats are going to be. The Clarity Act is coming, I put here. This is on February 19th. Eleanor Mueller said, in today's meeting between banks and crypto, the White House presented a proposal that would allow exchanges to pay customers for their stablecoins as long as they base it on activities or transactions, not balances. So again, making it to where it's not just the rich that can earn interest. I think that's a smart idea. She said, I'm told expectation is banks start meeting tomorrow into the weekend to decide whether to sign off. We have a deadline of March 1st from the president and a signing of April 1st. I think we're going to work really hard to make that happen. That's what I'm hearing from everybody. Checkmate said, based on the 200 moving average, it's actually only been this cheap 6% of all trading days, talking about Bitcoin, going all the way back, I think, here to, it looks like 2015. That's a pretty good time frame. So again, this isn't a lot of time. You can be as greedy as you want to be. You guys do that. I'll do me. I look at it as a time to stack. Let's see here. Jay Burleson said, look who is back. Hope you and everyone are doing well. Yep. Every Monday, and I'm going to be here a little bit more. I'm going to be doing Cypher's earnings call tomorrow morning. I'm going to be doing Zeta's earnings call tomorrow afternoon. So we'll be around more. And when we're already down almost, so I said, I think this will be short-lived. So this question, do you expect Bitcoin to dip much lower if the U.S. starts bombing Iran? This is a great video, by the way, if you want to understand kind of, militarily where we're sitting between what the U.S. assets have and the situation in Iran. It's a good video. But to answer the question about the Bitcoin dip with Iran, again, it's always like sell the news, right? So sell the news in this case is going to be buy. It's going to be buy because the news is bad. Okay, so you just invert that. So the news is bad, so everybody gets scared beforehand. Then when the event happens and they see that it's not that bad, then they start buying. So I think that we're getting to a point where soon people are going to realize it's not that bad. Maybe it's today. Maybe it already happened. Maybe it was on the 6th of February, whatever date that was, where we had the wick down and almost got to the 200 moving average on Bitcoin that you can see in the bottom right-hand corner. Maybe that was already it, but I think we're close. And I said, I think it'll be so short-lived that it won't matter. So if we get this dip, I don't think it matters unless you have 20% cash like Kirby, and then you're buying the shit out of that, right? I said timing is one of the biggest risks to investing. And when we're already down almost 47% from the high right now with Bitcoin, that's not the time to be thinking about when to get out. It's quite the opposite, especially if the speed and power of the descent is like what we saw. This is the time where you look to add more, even just if off a bounce, because again, the probability of that I think is so large. We got the Bitcoin Lightning Network per river estimated monthly Lightning volume. You can see it increasing dramatically. So we're actually starting to see the Lightning Network be used. It wasn't for a long time. With Bitcoin, again, just oversold levels, massive oversold levels. There's so many things. There's a lot to cover in here. I don't know that I'll go over all of it. Kirby said, buying a little more of Metaplanet today and a little more BMNR as fear is at peak level. I agree. I think it's really close. Maybe we get another day where it's just crazy. Let's look at charts though. This is what I want to, let's get into charts. I want to show you guys how many charts are looking like they're at a support level. Here's EOS, right? And again, this actually probably should be drawn a little more like this. So you got a falling, broadening wedge. Let's just say that's probably the rightest level of it. I'm going to say that. And then up here, again, depending on how you draw it, you could draw it to the wicks if you wanted to. But to me, this has such good structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, such a massive consolidation here. And you're on the daily time frame, again, seeing a trend higher. So you're seeing kind of a bullish divergence off of price action going down. Can it go lower? Things always can. If EOS, with these guys, they have a lot of proving to do. They've been buying a lot of materials, and it looks like from what we can see, there's probably a lot of ramping going in production. We need to see that. We need to understand earnings. In 3 days, we will be able to do that. It looks like I was right. That's what it's saying on TradingView over here too. But so if they suck, they shit the bed, maybe you get down into the 8 range, right? You could get into the 8s, maybe even worst case 7, where you start to have some support over here, right? I would even argue that, I don't argue this very often, but there is kind of an upward trend line of support that ends up getting found. And again, maybe you go underneath of it because there's some wicks in here. Maybe it's actually down to the candle bodies. But I would argue that if you got down in here into the 8s, that this is probably pretty interesting. And I should probably just get rid of that. You never do an upward trend like that. It just rarely ever holds. Yeah, but I'm going to have to redraw some lines here. This could be a really great area for this. But again, it's speculation about whether or not it can perform. Metaplanet, again, we're going to look at the Japanese version of this, guys. But whoa, is this thing down? It is down. How much is it down? Let's just look here. It can go further. I'm like looking at this gap here. But this thing has already dropped 84%. So I'm going to argue that buying an investment where these guys have cash flow coming in, they're able to generate income off their investment strategies. Because again, these guys are some of the best, whether it's the CEO, whether it's Dylan, these are some of the best like quant guys I know of. I think that's 84% is super fucking cheap. And again, it looks like a consolidation. This is on the weekly time frame. We're still at, have we seen worse? Yes, we've seen worse. So could Metaplanet do worse? Sure. But I would argue an 84% drop from a company that does not have a lot of debt, that has the same kind of perp contracts that Strive have and MicroStrategy. This is a good price. The thing that sucks is it looks like a Head and Shoulders. That's an ugly technical pattern. Could it go lower? Yeah, maybe. Maybe it gets down to like 240 or something. If Bitcoin really drops, maybe we get down even further and you get a better entry. But I still think the chart looks great. Down 84% is a good time to be a buyer, not a seller. If we look at Cypher, let's just look at this one here. Just another strong looking chart. Again, you can see where it's been dropping, but it wants to stay higher. It's trying to go higher. Now we'll see how earnings go today. It's down 2.32% pre-market. This is after the whole AI sector got beat up for no fucking reason because of Blue Owl private equity shit last week. But we'll see if that changes. But again, MicroStrategy is kind of sitting in the same boat. Zeta, I like Zeta. Again, this is one where their financials look ridiculous. I'll probably just pull up some of the stuff on this one, some of the posts that I have. But this is a pretty amazing looking company. There is a lawsuit. There's some other stuff going on. I'm just getting acquainted with it. Earnings is tomorrow. Got 6 figures in this one. But I do think that this thing looks more powerful than not. I wish this would have looked better if we wouldn't have dipped down so low. Because it looks a little wonky as a Head and Shoulders right now, left shoulder, head. This is really deep into the head. You don't love this from a technical level. But if they do a good job with earnings tomorrow, maybe it gets better. Again, nothing is ever guaranteed. There could be things that are deeper here than my understanding of what's going on. But I do want to pull this up real quickly and show this to you while I'm in here. Hood looks good. We should look at SoFi. If you guys have others that you want to look at, throw them up, man. BMNR, we can look at that. But again, just looking at Zeta here. Oliver put absolutely no need to overcomplicate it sometimes. Zeta is one of the few companies in the entire market to consistently beat analyst expectations quarter over quarter, grow free cash flow at 70% CAGR, compound annual growth since 2021. That is a huge number. This is the kind of stuff you saw from Palantir before it took off, right? Grown revenue 20% year over year for 5 straight years. And this person here put Wealthmatic put my Zeta thesis in one image. Fast forward 3 to 5 years. How are you not bullish? This is the operating profit, the pre-tax stuff of this company. And this is what it looked like for Palantir before it took off. Yeah, we can look at IREN. We'll look at all of them. IREN does not look as good technically, but I still think the company's great. And from like an analyst level, the price targets are still higher than where we're at. Wealthmatic, again, fact, Zeta Global has one of the largest beat and raise streaks in modern SaaS history, 17 straight quarters. So again, this company, if you just look over here, I would argue that it would be at inverse head and shoulders, and we would get all the way up to here if that pattern probably still holds true. But this thing just got consumed with SaaS. I mean, look at what it was doing. Then the SaaS, by the end of December, it was at $24. And then the whole SaaS narrative thing kicked off and it just went to shit. Wow, I'm getting notifications out the wazoo. We got 17 minutes until the market opens, by the way. There's more to it. But like, again, this is an interesting company. I'm hoping that it does well. We'll see if it does. But I like it. I like the company. I think they're great. And again, I want to look at others here too. Well, we can look at BMNR. We can look at a bunch. I want to look at Hood because again, I think there's just so many beautiful charts here. Now, this one arguably could go lower. Maybe it could get to 67 or something. It's down 1.8% in pre-market at 74. So that's not much further than where we're at right now. That would get you to the 100 moving average. That's a pretty good bounce zone. I mean, again, you got volume picking up here because you got the head of the other head of this. This thing is already dropped almost 53%. It could just stop here. But I picked up some last week and I like the chart. It's hard not to like the chart. SoFi, and again, the PE ratio on this one, I don't know if I have it right in front of me. We can pull it up in a second, but it's attractive. SoFi, again, just took a massive shit. Went from 32 and change, almost $33 down to 1872 in pre-market. I think this is a good zone to stack up. I will add here that, again, we're seeing some peak volumes. We're seeing the .618 for that. This is the extension, but the retracement is going to be close to this too. But this is like, maybe we go down to 17 or 16, but this is good buy zones. And I would like to add, even if it goes down, this is technically down a lot. What is that? 45%. Let me just check here. These have really been beat up, and there's no reason for it. This company looks great. $52 price targets coming. Yeah, I think so. Down 43%. I just think that's ridiculous. There's so many stocks like this, guys. D-Local looks like this. TLT. I mean, look at TLT. TLT is getting ready to break out. A lot of the stuff we're in, guys, has either dropped a ton or that we're starting to enter, like Hood, SoFi. And again, Zeta getting caught up with this SaaS thing. Or again, there's things like TLT that have been down for a very, very long time, that are still down over 50% from where they were at the high for TLT going back to 2020, right? At the peak of the pandemic was peak fear when people were jumping into the U.S. and then they got worried about all the money printing and then it just went to shit. Well, now we're getting our fiscal house in order. And I would argue that, again, we're up almost 0.2%. That takes away what happened last week. We're looking to start breaking out of some of these trends, guys. That was real close recently. Then comes another. Then comes another. I've always said this, but where you get these coinciding support trend lines, that's usually the breakout spot. I would not be upset if by July of 2026, this thing started breaking out into the upper 90s to the 100 range. I could make $500,000 to $1 million off of that. If we got up to the 110 range, I make over $1 million to $1.5 million off that trade. So I would love that to happen, especially if other things are getting beat up for some reason. If there's good companies in SaaS, if Palantir goes down to a reasonable PE, holy shit, buy it up. You know what I mean? Amazon, ONDS, CleanSpark. Yeah, we'll try and do all of them. Let's look at IREN here. We'll just throw up all these guys. We got time. And again, we're going to try to do more. I'm going to do an earnings thing. I'll probably do a chart day, and then we'll have a day where we talk mostly about just everything that's going on. Here's what I don't like about IREN. It's this, and I haven't posted a new chart on this in a while, but I probably should, because then somebody inevitably later on will shit on me being like, hey, you said it was doing good, and then it didn't do good, and then you didn't post the chart. But you could see again over here, kind of resistance zones, tried to find support, couldn't, found resistance, broke above, started to kind of find support, broke above, started to kind of find support, but really it's rejected. It's rejected. If you look at this, like I haven't moved this thing. This is a pretty clear rejection. It's like a rising, broadening wedge. It's not a bullish pattern. I actually think we could even go down to 34 on iron. I do like the company, but I think you just got to be ready for a little more downside. It doesn't have to. That's always the caveat. It doesn't have to do this. If the market turns around at broader, like the fundamentals or the macro change, then that changes. But it's already down almost 50%. It was down 51%. I don't think a short trip down to 34 would be that bearish, honestly, and I would probably just look to pick up more. They need to announce a good new deal, right? That would help. But I do think, though, like you want to be smart. I think deals are a little premature right now. I do think that you can have them, but I also think that people just need to understand that the smart companies aren't going to take deals right away. They're going to try and get the best deal because they know that these guys should be coming to them and not the other way around. So I don't know. I still like iron, but again, just give it some room for more downside, I would say. If you do that and that's an expectation of yours, I think you're going to be better off. Let me throw up BMNR real quick. Show this one too. Again, this is interesting actually. So you could see where, and I would actually argue that if we look at like the coinciding trend line, it's probably more like this, right? So you got rejected a bunch of times. So you had, again, support, rejected, trying to go up again. I would actually argue that this could be a bullish pattern. It all depends on what Bitcoin does. Maybe we shit one more time, do a W pattern kind of, and then do a breakout. But I think it's a matter of time before we break out towards like this 25 range and at least start to test this again. I think it's just a matter of time. And then once we get above 31, then it's, off to the moon. And that doesn't seem like a lot right now. But I mean, again, if we go to the .618, if that's all this ends up doing, and this is a tough one to chart because there's this huge gap. And so from a charting perspective, you kind of have to take this for what it's worth. You can see how, again, resistance on this fib, support on this fib, resistance underneath of it. You can see, again, a strong trading zone here. So there's definitely some truth to this fib, but it's an uglier one because of its design. But I could see 80. Like if things really pop off, it wouldn't be crazy to get into the 80 or even the 100 plus range for this. If Ethereum goes up 2x, 3x, which I think it could do if this isn't over yet, you're going to get this pretty easily. I'm always too damn early. Maybe just wait to verify bottom isn't. Yeah, you could. You can totally do that. It just depends on your time horizon. As long as you can survive. If you're in a bunch of leverage, you won't. Sony, Vitalik keeps selling ETH. That is the issue. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think it matters at all. I think it's irrelevant. You're looking at so much inflow just from Tom Lee alone. So I don't think that's a big deal right now. But I can see why he would be doing that, especially with Tom Lee being a dedicated buyer. But I don't think that's actually a big problem. All right, so Bitminer, again, I think this chart is good. I think it's more likely to break up. But if Bitcoin drops, we're going to get something weird. It is down. I mean, again, there's a reason people hate Tom Lee right now. It's down 88%. That is shitty. I didn't get this full drop. I dialed out sooner. So I missed probably half of this drop. But I lost it in other things, so I won't get too cocky. What else did we want to look at? Let me see here. Iron, Cleanspark, ONDS. ONDS. Yeah, I should do that one. Where is ONDS? Where the fuck did I put you? Where the fuck? Do I even have it on here? I might have to just pull it up. Let me just pull it up. We can look at the defense sector too. ONDS looks interesting. It also, but it got crushed a little bit, didn't it? How do I not have a chart for this? Do I not have ONDS? What? Is that possible? I've got to have a chart. Here, let me just I'll just make one. That's weird. Got to have one. All right, 1 second. And yeah, we can look at other charts, guys. Throw them out. All right. I probably need to draw this one. I mean, we have found support, and that's good. This could go either way. If they have a really good earnings, or if or if people really are worried about war, this thing could go higher, but it could also roll over. It's some because you're in a rising wedge essentially, right? And it can do either right now. It's kind of a steep one too. It doesn't mean it has to drop for a long time. That doesn't mean that at all. Again, this one could be argued this is the bottom. But again, fundamentals are going to matter. I know they've got earnings coming up. I could draw more stuff here too. I'll try to. I didn't realize I don't have a chart for this thing. Or maybe it's just lost. I got to figure out which one it is. But we got one now. So I don't know with this chart. I don't know what to tell you. Tesla, yeah, we can look. It's done the same thing. It's kind of done this rejection, or at least consolidating under it. So again, we tried to break out. We have never really been able to. We spent 1 week above this level. I don't know, maybe it was 1.5 or something, but then we immediately rejected. This doesn't look great. It doesn't look great. Now, I do think it could bounce because, again, it could be, instead of like some kind of a double top, it could be a head and shoulders pattern with a really high shoulder on one side. But it is possible that this thing drops over the short term. I should probably do a new post about this. It's just hard to talk about all this stuff in posts. But if for some reason it did, and let's just say this is like, I don't know. Tesla has such a high valuation. It's a great company. And I still think, and I'm going to say this, I think we get to 600 to 900 this year. I think that can still be true too. But it's also possible that we drop a little bit further. I mean, this has already been a great uptrend, right? We have a higher uptrend than we had before, but let's just look at this real quick here. Let's draw this out. Let's just go from here to here. And then let's say that we do a really short-lived drop. Like, you could totally see how this could maybe even just go to 340 or 350 and then go higher. It doesn't have to, but what is the PE ratio for these guys again? Let me just look here. Where the fuck is it over here? I'm trying to find this. Where is my... All right, I'll have to find it. It's visual stocks. Oh, there we go. What is the PE? Oh, let me get out of here real quick. What is the PE on visual stocks for this company? Let's just look. All right, bringing it back. What the fuck company were you talking about? It wasn't ONDS. What were we looking at? Tesla, okay. All right, let's look at Tesla. It's just so high. It's just so high. And again, I would just argue that there's still more trials and tribulations and a bunch of build out to do. And the forward PE, the forward isn't horrible. I mean, it's 204. It's not great. So I would just argue that we could still see PE compression and it wouldn't be crazy because I'm making that same argument. By the way, Bitcoin around 60,000 right now. So again, maybe we get our flush out today. We'll see. But if I made the same argument with Palantir, right? And Palantir has a forward PE of 109. So if I'm going to make that argument about Palantir, I've got to make that same argument with Tesla, right? I've got to. I do want to show this to you in Zeta in here. Again, we'll be doing earnings tomorrow afternoon. Love the United States revenue. Again, looking at ARPU. Look at the revenue here, what they've grown over the years. Look at the net income. Looks beautiful. Shares outstanding. They've been diluting. They got a good balance sheet nowadays. Their operating expenses are higher. But again, they're automating and doing a bunch of other stuff. The free cash flow is the part I love. 52 million in free cash flow off of 337 million in revenues is a great number. Forward PE is 19. Revenue growth was 26. Profit, again, haven't hit profit, but could be hitting profits now, which is exciting. I don't know. There's just a lot of good charts with these guys. Stock-based comp has dropped a ton. Operating leverage is going up. All those things are good. Let me see estimates. Look at the estimates. Still going up. EPS positive. This just looks like an interesting company to me. Now, let's look at extended here. Again, we saw a lot of sales of this in 2021 as they were making a bunch of money. In 2022, as they were making a bunch of money. But more recently here, they've started to diminish. Now, there were some buys here too in 2024, and it's jumped up a decent amount since then. But I would argue institutional ownership is just straight up and to the right. Percentage short is like double digit, around almost 12%, 11.18. To me, this is an interesting company. What else did we have? ONDS got a couple of contracts the last few weeks. That's good. Yeah, I do have some of that, I think, documented too. I just didn't realize I didn't have a chart on it. But that should help too. What did you guys want to see? Amazon? We can look at Amazon. Again, though, real quickly, MicroStrategy. I want to cover some of the things I'm in. This stock is down how much? 76%. And it was as low as 81. And its NAV has jumped a lot. I would argue that this is something where that trade that was worked so well for some people, that trade of shorting MicroStrategy and being long Bitcoin, I think it's over, and I think it's getting ready to go into reverse. That's why we're seeing an MNAV premium. But I like that this is still down like 76% from where it was at. I think it can go higher. The MNAV can climb more, and I think this thing can start to squeeze people, and I like that. What else am I missing here, guys? ASTS, yeah, ass and titties. You know it, brother. Or, oh, I'm sorry, that's the space one. We can do that too. But while we're here, let's just look at this one. And again, I actually think Matt Cole is a cool guy. I think he's a good dude. And I just want to point out how far down this stock is. And I don't know if I'm going to add more today. We'll see. But this thing is down 97% from just where it was at this peak when again, I sold over here, guys. This was around the $12 range. It's different now after the stock split, but really it's down 97% from where it's at. So if you like the fact that these guys have really little to no debt, they've got a nice perp offering like 12.5% interest. It's getting ready to print again, so they'll probably be buying more Bitcoin in the future. Down 97% from its high. To me, this is a really great play if you think that the Bitcoin market could turn around in the future. I like that. ASTS, I don't know that I've been paying attention too much to that because I don't love the space sector, but I'll see if I have it. I do. And let's see if I have this built out at all. I might just look ugly and not have anything in it. Yeah, so I was looking for this to retrace and it did not. Wow, look at it, the way it's been climbing. What are we at? $30 billion. What do these guys have in revenues? So I want to look at this. I want to look at revenues for this company and what their expectations are because I feel like that's the only way to do it. We are about 1 minute from going live here too, guys. So AST, Space Mobile. So let's just look here. So they did get revenue. Their revenue has been incredibly spotty. You can see in 2023, it doesn't even show anything. 2024 was low. 2025 had some in Q3. Net income is non-existent. Cash flow is bleeding $302 million in a quarter off of $14 million in revenues. Massive share dilution. I just would argue that this one is dangerous. It's just a dangerous stock to own right now. Look at the operating leverage on this. And again, I get that everybody's in space. Could this go higher and could the fundamentals catch up? Yes. But this is scary. I mean, their estimates, if they're right, and they're getting to 80 million by the Q3 of 2026, almost a year from now, if they're getting to 80 million, then this is going to look a lot more attractive and the math is going to look better. But right now, I think it's too good. And that's probably why it just keeps short squeezing people. Look at this. It's 27% short interest. Holy shit. That is a lot of short interest. Let me go over here real quick. That is a lot of short. That must have been this one. Yeah, look at that. So every time these guys think they're going to win and it's going to start rolling over, it starts going up. We did get the market open. Let me see what pre-market looks like. Bitcoin is sitting at 66 right now. We're down 2.3% in IREN, 3.5% in Cypher, 3.5% in CleanSpark. Zeta's down 3.6. EOS is down 2.15. Enphase is down 1. Palantir is down 3.4. Yeah, so a lot of things getting hit. ARCG down 1.5. Nvidia up 1.76. So we're seeing chips doing a little bit better. MicroStrategy down 2.5. Starting to see some recovery in some of these already. They're starting to come back around. MetaPlanet, let's look over here in the United States. It looks like it's flat on the day, getting ready to bounce higher. This was the pre-market change, guys. So you can see how there weren't a lot of companies doing well. Amazon was down a little bit. But we'll see how it ends up doing on the day. It'll take a little bit for this to update. Let's look at other charts. ONDS down 0.5%. Not too bad. ARCG calls. Are you on the June? June. I don't think I have any Junes. I'll have to look. I think I have September. I want to say I have September. And then I have January 2027 and January 2028 on ARCG. I also have some September TLT calls. Maybe I do have some Junes. I might have a few Junes too. I'll have to look. I'll get back to you. But yeah, so I don't know what the ASTS, this fundamentally does not look good to me, but that doesn't mean it can't go up. So who knows, man? Who knows? Kraken is up 1.51%. RCAT is down 3.4. So it looks like the military sector is a little bit split. I haven't looked at MU or any of these others. Let's see if we can find it over here. I never look on this chart for it, but maybe it is here somewhere. Let's see, techish, consumer durables. Yeah, I don't know where it is in here. Does anybody know which section? Electronic technology. It's got to be in here. Okay. Yeah, even Micron down 2.27, it says in here. So it looks like the chips, AMD's down 2.59. It looks like they're getting hit. Yeah, that might be right. I might have some of those. Yeah, you're probably right. That number sounds right. I'll have to look. Do you have a question, though? If so, is it, am I going to make any money? I don't know. June is close. I might not make money off of those. I might not make money until the January 2027s or the January 2028s. ArcG has not done well for me for options. CleanSpark didn't either. Just being too greedy, I think. ArcG is just, I think I was betting on too much optimistically about the economy doing better too early. So that's why the January 2027s and the 2028s are so much better. And that's where the rest of my money said, the bulk of it. Bitcoin's rising a little bit, 66,170. Nothing too crazy there. Nvidia up almost 2%. Starting to recover in the AI energy companies. Iron is now positive, guys. That's fascinating. Cypher is down 1.37. CleanSpark's only down 1. Zeta is down 4%. So it's still getting that software crush, which sucks. Hopefully tomorrow's earnings will be better. EOS, again, earnings are coming quick on this one, down 3%. It seems to be getting the prove it or lose it thing going on. And I think right now people think it's losing it. But if we just look over here, it is overshooting the downward trend here. So one would hope that what ends up happening, let me just look here. Yeah, right about there. One could argue that maybe we're kind of like this. But it's overshooting. And so you would love to see them beat expectations, have some kind of contracted deal, show that production is ramping well, show that they're starting to get closer to profitability, all the things you want to see from a company in the energy sector that's doing battery storage systems. So if they give us something good on earnings, this would be the perfect move higher to at least test back up to 17. If they don't, I mean, maybe a flush again down to the low 8s or mid 8s is possible. D5 Dev is down 6% today. That is another one that is a potential Solana play. Enphase is down 2%, not too bad. Palantir's down 4.2 now. Again, guys, I don't love Palantir in this environment. What about SoFi and the rest of them? Did we pull them up? Let's see here. Hood down 2.4, so taking a hit. SoFi down 2%, taking a hit. TLT up 0.2%. That's good. That's doing what we want it to do. Bitminer down 4% on the day, so it looks like everything's kind of taking a hit. And maybe it ends up being that way. Again, 9:30 is the big data point, guys. I'm probably going to drop here in a minute. But 9:30 is when we get the Dallas Fed manufacturing for February. We don't care about these other dates. Again, Chicago Fed national activity for January looked pretty good. It was under forecast, but it was the first positive data point we've had in a while. It was the highest number that we've had since February, so a year. So we like to see that. But the Dallas Fed manufacturing index for February, especially coming out of Dallas, what we're looking for on this one is previous of negative 1.2. The forecast was negative 3.5. It would be amazing if this was an upside surprise. Because when we go 10 years, guys, we've only had anything like a really positive number 2 months. Only 3 positive going all the way back to April of 2022. But really only 2 decently positive ones. Imagine if we get positive again after what looks like a push higher, in my opinion. That would be amazing. So really look towards that at 9:30. I'm still saying, guys, I'm optimistic. I don't know what I'll be buying today. If I do, I will post it. I might just sit back and chill too. I've spent a lot of money. I might just chill. I might just not fucking buy anything and let it just hang out. IREN's up 0.5%. So again, still trying to hold on to some strength there. And Nvidia seems to be the only chip maker that people really care about. But I am bullish. I think starting off the market weak gives us a chance to bounce. I haven't looked at this in a while. I'm going to pull it up real quick before we head out. I'm actually kind of bullish on this. Look at this. This is the S&P, guys. This is the .618. This is the place where you're most likely. Oh, Amazon? Yeah, I can try and pull that up too, Stoney. Give me a sec. This is the place where you're most likely to have resistance and crash. And we did, right? We crashed pretty good. We got all the way down to 6,500. We launched back up. But look at this, guys. We're just finding support, almost like a bull flag, wicking up a lot. This looks bullish to me. The S&P, I think, actually looks okay. Now, the NASDAQ, maybe that could grind. Maybe that could go down a little bit more. But we already know the Russell looks good. I don't know. I just find this all very interesting. U.S. oil today is only sitting at $67. Not a lot of fear in that. I do think it can go higher. The dollar still looks like it's rejecting and it's going to go lower. And again, I showed you the 10-year. But this doesn't look strong. It should be testing back up here again if it wants to gain strength. And it could end up heading down that path. But I think, again, we don't want a cascading dollar, but we do want a dollar that's weaker. And a weaker dollar is good for manufacturing. I could see us wanting to get to like the 200 moving average in the 92 range. And I could see that happening and rejecting down to that level. So I would just, again, caution people here. I think I wouldn't be in a ton of leverage, but I do think that the market is getting ready to turn bullish. I'm excited about it. It's definitely not the time to be a bear, in my opinion. But you guys do you. I'm not responsible for your behaviors, just like you're not responsible for mine. I love you guys. To the 325 people that stuck it out, I hope you got some value add out of this. Stoney, I'm tired. I'll do Amazon next time, bro. I promise. But I got to go. Yeah, just like Kirby, I got to go. Love you guys too. You take it easy. And again, don't get too bearish. Not when the market's dropped a shit ton and everything's telling you that it's going to bounce. Peace out.